And I'm really pleased to be here. I think this is a lovely meeting. I'm really pleased to see all your faces here. This meeting has been organised as part of the NUT and NAHT's joint campaign to make last year's SATs the last ever that children have to go through. And I think this meeting is fantastic, and Sarah deserves loads of credit from Sarah Tomlinson from the NUT and Jess for organising the meeting tonight. I want to make a few very brief remarks about the campaign and the nature of it being a joint campaign with the NAHT. And just to say some things, I went to a conference that was at NUT headquarters that was held jointly with the National Association of Head Teachers. And one of the NAHT members there spoke really passionately about what she thought about SATs. And she was describing going to a meeting with Ed Balls, the Minister for Education, where he was blaming teachers for the stress that's put on children in the run-up to SATs and saying it's your fault, it's our fault that the stress is created. And she was pointing out just how two-faced that is. That on the one hand he says, you're making too much stress, you're teaching too much to the test, and then with the other side of his face he's saying, if you're at the bottom of the league table, we'll close your school, we'll turn you into an academy, you'll lose your job, you won't get through the threshold, you won't make progress on the upper pay spine. And if there is too much stress on kids, and we know there is, it's not your fault, it's their system, and they have to change it, and we have to help them to change that system. I just want to say something about some of the campaign steps that we've been involved in and that Lambeth NUT's been involved in. My partner's a Year 2 teacher in Hackney, and we've done some street stalls recently. And before going to those street stalls, there was a certain degree of nervousness on our part about what would parents say. Would they all concentrate on how am I going to know how my child's doing? And you know, that wasn't the experience. We had helium balloons, we had petitions to sign, and we had loads of conversations with parents. And we had two big sorts of reactions. Parents who thought their kids wouldn't do well in the SATs really didn't like them and said they didn't want their children stressed, they didn't want their children labelled, and they thought it wasn't right for their kids. And the parents of kids who thought they were going to do well on the tests, they said, we don't like the teaching to the test, we don't like the lack of creativity in Year 6. And so, you know, from both ends, there was huge support. Hardly any people asking that question about how will I know how my child is doing. Really, I'm not exaggerating. The vast majority of reactions incredibly positive. And when we did discuss how would I know what my child is doing, we talked about moderated teacher assessment. If you trust teachers to teach your children, you can trust them to assess your children, and we can do a bit of moderation and see that everyone's at the same national standard. And people were accepting that. So I think we've got a lot of parental support, and we have to take some confidence from that support. And I would really urge you, if you possibly can, to give up half an hour of your time and go to the next Lambeth NUT street stall, because you come back from it thinking, my God, you know, we do have that support, and it's a really positive feeling. Now, the NUT's campaign is going to continue this term with an indicative ballot that we want you to vote in, but I would really like you to think about other things you can do for the campaign arising from what Michael's going to talk to you about tonight. So, for example, there are petition sheets here. I think you should circulate those in your school. Ask the parent governors. That's what we've done at my partner's school. The parent governors have collected the petition in the playground with permission of the head teacher. Ask for that to happen. Ask for your head teacher to put on the governing body an agenda item about discussion about what real assessment is. And there will be voices on the governing body who are in favour of SATs, but there'll be lots who understand our arguments and are against the SATs. So make sure it carries on being debated in every area you can. But most of all, I want to say, feel confident. You know, one of the things they tell us is that young teachers don't understand the arguments about SATs because many of them came through school with the SATs and have never taught in any other way. I'm looking around here seeing lots of young people. I think you'll leave the meeting tonight knowing that there's a better way for us to teach, and we should have some confidence that we can take it all back and take back the creativity. And just my final thing is just ask yourself, why is it only us? Why is it that Wales has got rid of SATs? Scotland doesn't have them. Ireland doesn't have them. Practically nowhere in Europe has anything like this. They don't run in most private schools. They've stopped them for Key Stage 3. Why is it only you lot that still have to do them? Why is that fair? It's only for their bloody league tables and their obsession with statistics. Let's break away from it. So please get involved with the campaign in every way you can. And when you get your ballot form, make sure you return it and say yes, that you want to stop the SATs this year.
begin with a poem. Why not? That's what I do, isn't it? That's my job. One day, a car pulled up at our school and said, "I'm your new head teacher." The old head teacher was taken out the back and put in a skip. And the car drove into her office. The car changed the name of our school. It was called Car School. And we got a new uniform that had a picture of a car on the front pocket. The mayor came to our school and said how lucky we were that the car had come and was sharing with us all that it knew about cars. Car School was in the local newspaper. Everyone wanted to go to Car School. To get in, you had to do a car test. There were questions about cars. The mayor said that cars had a lot to offer the community so that we could all move forward. Some of the old teachers left, and the new teachers were cars. Blue, red, silver, dark green. A boy in my class wrote a story about a car that ran someone over. He was asked to see the head teacher. And we never saw him again. A woman came to the school to talk about road safety, and she said how going by bus was a good idea. One of the cars stood up and said that what she was saying was unbalanced and unfair. I go to Car School. Brum brum. That's our school song. Brum brum. Thank you, yes.